tēnei te mihi nui kia tāua, you and I, Alicia, who are gathered here today to watch Picture Character. I'm pretty sure that people will be watching from home and possibly not joining um, the the Q&A session or from their schools, and that's totally fine. But ko tēnei te Wharikiri Hau or Dockage. This is the new digital home of Dockage for the moment, and we are very pleased to present Picture Character, which is about the birth and evolution of emoji. So, we would like to thank Auckland University Psychology Department for coming along. When they come along, maybe they're watching from their class right now. But particularly, we would like to thank the Ray Foundation, who make the Dockage Schools program possible. And yes, we're looking forward to sharing all of these wonderful films with students from all over the country now, rather than just Auckland and Wellington. So if you are watching this and you know a teacher who would benefit from educational documentaries, feel free to get them to get in touch with me, Matthew, Mattthew, at Docedge, docedge.nz, and we'll book you in for a free session. Cool, but for the moment, if you go to the Picture Character page, let me post this in the chat. So if you go to the chat on the right-hand side, you'll see the third icon down. It will say schools.docedge.nz film Picture Character. If you click on that, then hover your cursor over the pink Play Now button. And when I count to 3, we'll all push play together. Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right, enjoy the film. Hey, Mike, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. I couldn't find a place to set up, so I'm just holding it. Just doing a handheld webinar.
All good.
Q&A.
Well, I'm
How,
glad that
how?
you could join us.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad to be here. How are you guys? Good.
Yeah, good. It's
Yeah.
been a busy morning, but we've
Nice.
been showing movies and answering questions. It's been good.
Nice.
Cool. So
Nice.
you've had a chance to watch Picture Character?
Yeah. No, it was good. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
tell
it's
us
it's
tell us what you thought. I mean, or actually, first let's introduce you. Mike Javier, you are an artist and a designer, and
hmm
you created a kiwi emoji, right?
Yeah. Yes, I did.
Cool. Tell us a little bit about your experience in doing that.
So basically, it was a design competition held by Trade Me because they felt that New Zealand wasn't really well represented in the emoji space. And the emojis, it's a growing global language, and it would be good to have kind of like something that would represent Aotearoa. So they developed this campaign called Kiwi Emoji. So they held a design competition, which I participated in. Um, yeah, so they picked my design and did some tweaks to kind of fit their requirements. So Jamie did all the like filling out the forms. Like in the movie, right? You've got these forms that they had to fill out and stuff. So they did that, and I provided them with the artwork. Um, yeah, and then they submitted to Trade Me. So that was 2 years ago. Haven't heard back. The last, I did hear back a couple of times, and the last message I received from Trade Me on March last year was that it was successfully submitted, but because I went back to my old emails, and then it, it was submitted, but it didn't make the cut late that year, because I think there was a cutoff of October 2018. So they said that hopefully it would be included in the next lot. So I'm still waiting for that to happen. I haven't been told if it was rejected or anything, so it might be just sitting there. As with when I was watching the movie, I could relate to what they were saying. Like,
Yeah,
some of the designs were just sitting there,
stuck in
waiting for a while.
subcommittee.
Stuck in subcommittee. But those three groups that submitted their designs, it was really good for them to, to go out there and submit and defend their ideas, and it came out successful. So that's really good. Hopefully that would happen to us soon.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they're a small team dealing with a lot of submissions, with a whole lot of,
Yeah.
it's the popularity has exploded so much that everybody wants their slice of life represented,
That's
understandably.
right. That's right. Yeah.
So yeah, no, we wish you luck for getting that accepted. So it's not necessarily a Trade Me emoji. It's a Kiwi emoji
Yeah.
submitted by Trade Me
Submitted by
on
Trade Me.
on kind of behalf of New Zealanders, I guess, to
Yes.
represent
Yeah.
the Kiwi people.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. It kind of sends a bit of a mixed message, eh? Because the Trade Me logo is a kiwi bird, so people might think, oh, it might be a Trade Me campaign, but no, it's for the whole of New Zealand. So they're doing it for the whole of New Zealand.
Yeah, and I mean that's cute. You can either have
Yeah.
a small flightless bird represented in your in your
Oh, for sure.
conversation,
Yeah,
or it can
and
mean
it
a New Zealander, I guess.
yeah, and if you look at the existing emojis, the bird emojis, there aren't that many. So it would be good to have a really good representation. And the kiwi bird, I think, perfectly represents New Zealand. So yeah.
So what do you think about expanding the emojis out? Like, should the UTC, should the Unicode Technical Committee consortium grow to accommodate this growing language? Is there more investment needed from the tech giants to really blow this up, or is it worth kind of refining it down to the more popular emojis?
I think it's a bit tricky because what was that person was talking uh about not wanting to expand it too much because it just gives people a lot of freedom, and that there'll be like the growth of emojis would balloon out of proportion. I think they kind of want to control it in such a way that it doesn't happen. So
Hmm.
they say 60 a year. I think it could be a bit more. And also, I think what they need to think about is like if the companies or like the software that they're using or system kind of would support that many. I don't think I don't know if it can. If it can, then it would be good to have more. But if it won't, if it's going to crash because there's just too many emojis submitted at the moment, then it might be best to kind of like do it a few a year maybe.
Yeah, I definitely think there's capacity building that's required. I mean, I love emojis. I
Oh, same.
when
I use them all the time.
when I kind of had this um I'm of a different generation attitude where I'm a smiley face and a thumbs up, and if you're really lucky, you're going to get a heart,
Yeah, yeah,
and nothing else. But I quickly came around and was like, yeah, we can put some humor in here. We can indicate tone, and I think
yeah,
that's really what was missing from a lot of the text conversation. So
yeah.
easy to misunderstand people's intentions, whether it's sarcasm or irony or you're having a little bit of a play with someone is an emoji can a winky face can totally change the
Can
tone.
mean a lot of things. Yeah, yeah. And I think that's the beauty of it, and that's how it brings out the creativeness in using it. Because there's just so many meanings to the emojis, and the way you kind of like use certain emojis individually to create a certain like sentence would be great. Yeah.
What do you think, Alicia? First of all, did you like the film? What did you think of it? And what questions do you have for Mike here?
Yeah, I love the film. I think what I loved about the film is similar to what I love about Wreck-It Ralph, is that with
Oh
the
yeah.
emojis and the things that we like know and see, it's really fun to see that. And even when they had like the emoji boat in the river and
Yeah.
things like that, I love that stuff um, so much. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I have a question for the room, and what is everyone's favorite emoji, and what emoji do you want to see apart from the kiwi? Because I think we all want that one.
What's an emoji you'd like to see, Mike?
Oh, because we already have the kiwi fruit. The kiwi bird is very iconic, so I'd probably go with that. If I were to choose another one, it's a really good question. I haven't really thought about that. uh, Look, if if let's say Tokyo has like, if Japan has like Tokyo Tower, and in like Tokyo supermarkets, and why not have like, I don't know, maybe Sky Tower or something. But it's a long shot. I'd probably go with more iconic Kiwi, like items. Maybe a pavlova. I don't know if there's a pavlova emoji. I'm not too sure though.
Oh,
Maybe
Stuff
like a
that,
buzzy
yeah.
bee or something.
Oh,
Yeah.
that would be good. Yeah.
Alicia, I remember you and I having a conversation about the flags and how the flags represent the um, the established culture, if you like. But we know across the world that there are many different cultures within a country. You were wanting to make a recommendation to them?
yeah. I think that we should have a Māori flag emoji, because I think when you look on social media, so many people use flags to, especially on like Instagram bios, everyone uses flags to represent like where they're from, and like the New Zealand flag doesn't quite cut it for Indigenous people in the same way that for probably Aboriginal people in Australia, the Australian flag doesn't
Yeah.
quite doesn't quite hit the spot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely feel like there should be a Māori flag, and I definitely am open to being the one who makes that submission
Yeah.
after watching this film, because I was like, oh, like you can submit it, like you don't
Yeah.
have to wait for Apple to figure it out.
It's
So
good because it creates that identity, right? It's a good
Yeah.
identifier. So it would be nice to have something like that.
Yeah.
yeah, and I noticed that a lot of the images actually evoke feelings. It's not, a picture says 1,000 words. So, and it also relates to like you're saying, identifiers. Um, and like you were saying, Alicia, is that the Aboriginal flag, for instance, is not there yet. A lot of the Indigenous Native Americans and Canadians up there, not quite there yet. So, yeah, no, I'd love to see a little bit more of an inclusive approach there.
Mhm.
Yeah, because when I
And
see it on social media, like, so for Māori, we have red, white, and black. So people will just put like red, white, and black circles,
right.
and I'm like, nah, we can do better than that. Like,
Yeah.
So, if Alicia wanted to submit to the UTC there, Mike, were you actually involved in the submissions process, or it was just the art that you were doing?
No, not really. It's just the art. Yeah. So Trade Me did all the submission. Yeah.
Would you have any like technical or artistic advice for someone who wants to create their own emoji?
Oh yeah, sure. Like if you want to create something, it would be good to know firsthand like what is required. Like if the Unicode consortium says this is the sort of dimensions that we need, then you have to follow that. And also, so once you've figured out like what the dimensions are needed, what the requirements are needed to create an emoji, is to do some research on what you wanna submit. So let's say you want to submit a koru. I think I forgot about that. Like if we were to have another emoji, I would like a koru
Yeah,
to
that's a great
represent New
idea.
Zealand. Yeah, or a fern, a black fern or something like that. But yeah, then you do some research on what a koru looks like. You can do surveys to see which is the most, because there are different korus. You've got pico picos, you've got the baby ferns, and sometimes they kind of look different. So you kind of look for that common look and feel. And then yeah, and then once you've found the perfect image that you have, then you can start designing it or drawing it or sketching it. For me, when I did the Kiwi emoji, I did some sketching because I like drawing during my free time. So after I've done my research, I picked the image that I want, and then started sketching, and started thinking about the colors. Because with emojis, you can't really go all crazy with the colors. Sometimes you have to keep it to a minimum, keep it to a simple 3 or 4 colors, make it simple because it's a symbol.
Not
It's
so
going
much
to be some.
shading or anything, no, and not watercolor. Don't use watercolor
Yeah,
paints and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah. You can use gradients, you can do sharp shading, it's fine, but not to exaggerated, I think, or not too many. And then once you've done that, then you can start drafting up, you can start mocking up, start designing, start thinking about options. What's the best color brown to use for this? It should be a tan color, dark brown color. Play around with what you think would look best, and then once you're happy with it, then you attach it along with the application form and send your submission. It's like with the it's similar to the team that designed the Amate. It showed the designer working on it, right? So they were trying to find the right sort of look and feel. So they did some research on Google, and they did come up with some drawings and to make sure that their drawing is like it's the right appropriate one. It's safe. It doesn't look like a bong, like one of the people who commented, so those types of things. So once you've got that all sorted, then yeah, you're good to go.
Would you recommend any particular type of software? Like I know that there's Illustrator and there's Photoshop, and there are a few other open source pieces out there. It doesn't matter what you use. Like, is one better than the other for designing an emoji?
There's not much difference really, but I would probably recommend using Adobe Illustrator or any vector-based application, because it uses line art where it's vector-based, line-based. It's not pixel-based, where if you use a pixel-based application like Photoshop, you can only use it to a certain size. So if you, let's say, work on a 20 by 20 pixel artwork in Photoshop, once you blow that up, it's going to be so pixelated that people won't see what that image is. Whereas with Illustrator and any vector-based application, you can start off with a small layout, and then you can blow it up, and it'll still look fine. So it's good if you wanna do something really quick, because the problem with Photoshop, if you do something really big, sometimes it slows down your PC. With vector-based applications, it doesn't do that. So it's nice and quick.
Cool. Yeah. So if like you were probably around before emojis really started taking off, is that fair to say?
Yeah. I was born. I'm an '80s man. So
yeah. Nice. I didn't want to make any assumptions.
That's all good.
But how would you say the world has changed in terms of the way we communicate, even down to, having those old Nokia phones where texting first came out and you were pushing buttons on a phone, all the way through to typing on a message or even voice dictate. Do you see there's a logical progression of future for emoji and our communication and our digital communication in this way?
Definitely, because in the '80s, when you go to a different country, you would normally have like a dictionary with you, and it would be quite hard to communicate, because you're in a foreign country, foreign language, and it's just not as easy as with nowadays. You can have like emojis, which is kind of like a global language that anyone can understand. And if you wanna want to study like another country's language, then you can go do Duolingo, or I wouldn't recommend Google Translate, but you know what I mean. It's communication nowadays is very accessible because of the digital aspect of it. So I think with the inclusion of emojis, it kind of makes it a lot easier, and a lot more creative as well, but it makes it a lot easier because it's something that the whole world will understand.
Yeah, I really like this kind of universalization of language through images. So in a worst case scenario, if you got stuck, you could, draw some emojis to.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, so so tell us a little bit more about where things are. I'm still struggling to understand the timeline of. So it's not a submit for this round and we'll tell you by the end of the year kind of situation. It's a submit anytime and they'll get back to you when they feel like it, or?
I think that was the case, because so the competition ended in April 2018. I did some tweaks, and I think they submitted on May 2018, and then they got feedback.
Just to be clear, the competition was run by TradeMe, or the competition was run by the UTC? By TradeMe,
no, by TradeMe. Yeah. So TradeMe wanted to submit an emoji. So I don't know, maybe instead of hiring a designer to design one, or they kind of like want to make it a bit creative and get a lot more people involved. So they kind of did it as a competition. But it's totally their initiative. It's their project. And I was kind of like there to kind of like, submit the designs for them and make some minor tweaks. So yeah, so at the moment, I believe it's still sitting with Unicode Consortium, and I have no idea when that'll be, when that will pass. Hopefully soon. But yeah, yeah.
But you won that competition, and then
Yes,
they submitted.
so
Is that right? Congratulations.
yeah. So thank you. So it was a competition. I didn't know how many others submitted, but yeah, it was a competition that lasted for I think 2 weeks. And yeah, and I just asked them like, is there a limit to the things that you can submit? And they said, no, you can submit as many as you want. So, so I took the advantage of submitting as many as I can, and then luckily, one of them kind of hit the spot, so that's good.
Awesome. Alicia, have you got any thoughts for Mike before we wrap it up?
No, I feel really good about our conversation. Feel like I've learned a lot. Might be seeing me designing some things.
Maybe you guys can get together afterwards, and Mike can give you some tips. And
Oh, sure.
you up.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Hey, well, before we go, I'd like to thank Ray Foundation for making this possible. I'd like to thank Alicia for doing the moderating and the all of the coordination for bringing these great Q&A sessions together. I'd like to thank you, Mike, for joining us for the conversation, and the teachers and students for watching here with us. Yeah, we have got another 2 sessions, so we'll probably bring you back on a recorded message for friends who will watch the next couple of sessions, Mike. But other than that, thank you very much for everyone's time, and we look forward to seeing you very shortly for the rest of Dock Edge Schools. Thanks again.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Our pleasure.
All right, cheers. See ya.